Welcome to the world of SAP Business Objects Lumira. What is Lumira? Well, I've taken the liberty of already pre-opening Lumira, so it's sitting on screen in front of me here. I might just maximize the screen so we can see it in full detail. Lumira is a data analytics tool with a highly visual front end. So we don't concentrate on the numbers, we concentrate on the story or the picture that's presented to us through the numbers. So what we're currently looking at the moment is some sample databases that I've been working with most recently. I've got some e-fashion sample data here. This is actually being pulled from a universe from within Business Objects environment. It could be a CSV file. It could be a spreadsheet. It could be a piece of SQL extracted from Microsoft SQL or from Oracle, perhaps. So let me simply just double click on this particular sample database. It's pulling it through into my visualization screen now. I can see my visualizations on the right hand side, and I see the objects that are available to me from the piece of SQL, from the spreadsheet, from the universe. At the top I have measures being the values that I'm interested in. Towards the middle here I have dimensions being descriptive objects. So it might be that I'm interested in the sales revenue object, and I simply drag it into a visualization, and it represents it to me in a column format. It might be that I'd rather see this not in a column format, perhaps in a pie chart. So let's invoke the pie chart. It's now asking me for dimensions. That is, I want to test my revenue against descriptive objects. It might be that I bring in my store name. I'll add the store name in, dropping it into my visualization, and there it splits on the pie chart for me. But it might be that I'm not happy with the way the pie chart displays. If I were to move to the left-hand side, I could put it into a tabular format. So I can see a list of all my stores. I can see a list of all my revenues. I might also bring in my margins. I might also bring in my discounts. So I've got a tabular view of my data. I might be happy with that tabular view. That tabular view is represented as a story down towards the bottom of the screen. At any time I could take that story, I might simply duplicate that story. So now I'm looking at the copy of it. I think what I want to do is maybe represent this copy in a different way. So let's go through to maybe a line chart again. I'll switch down to a line chart. There I can see my discounts given, I can see the profitability, my margins, and I can see my actual revenues for each of the individual stores. I just have a slight concern when I'm showing these stores as a line chart. I'm getting the prefix of e-fashion being the brand, as it were, and then I'm seeing the actual city. If I went back to my first storyboard, well, that's not so bad, but it doesn't work so well in my chart. So of course, what I'm looking at the moment is my visualization. If I lifted this from a spreadsheet or a universe or a piece of SQL, I can still go back in and prepare. So I don't have to approach a SQL designer or go back into my spreadsheet and make changes there. I can make the changes inside Lumira. The object that I'm interested in is my store name. If I click once on my store name, it takes me to my store name column. I want to remove the prefix of eFashion. That is to find the space in between each. And with that particular column, I can perform an action against it, just like we would inside a spreadsheet. I can perform formulas. I might think to split. I want to find a space, and I'll apply that. If our eyes now go to the left-hand side, I see my original store name in its original format. I see the store name number 2, which is simply the e-fashion part. And there it is. Alternatively, store name number 3 is simply the list of cities. I've got another concern with this data. If I look to my month object, my month object is a number, therefore it's showing decimal places. I might just simply format that, and I'll just knock it out to 0 decimal places, and we'll OK that. So I'm happy with those changes that I've made to the underlying data. I didn't need any interaction from other bodies and have to wait. I did it straight away. If I now return back to my visualizations, of course, I'm still looking at the original object. I might take my store name, remove that. I might go for store name number 3 and add that in as my x-axis. And that's certainly a bit tidier. It might be that I change the way it looks. I might get it to go as a stacked column chart, so that I see them as a contribution towards the whole, as it were. So I showed you that we could create a tabular view of the data. We can create a graphical view of the data simply by dragging and dropping. One of the things about Lumira is, in the role of a sales manager, I've got the big meeting tomorrow. I don't know the story. I just simply play with my numbers until the story comes up. You saw me duplicating the story here to tell it a different way. I might now create a new story, a new visualization. I think I'm going to take my sales revenue again. I think I'll take year on year. Let's have a look at that as a column chart. Okay. I can see my split between 2008, 2009, 2010. I'm not concerned about 2008. I am concerned about if I click on 2010, if I click on 2009, I could actually filter those two particular values. It might be that I want to see my month-on-month split between those two respective years. So I'll take my month object and drag that in. I could drop it into the visualization, or I could simply drop it into my axes on the left-hand side. I'm now looking at 2009 month on month. I'm looking at 2010 month on month. It might be better represented, perhaps, as a line chart, i.e. that it's telling the story of the flow of my sales. But it's difficult to make direct comparisons. What's the difference between August in 2009 and August in 2010? In that respect, if I look to my trellis feature on the left-hand side, I could simply take the year object and drag that into my trellis. I'll just try that again. I'll just take my year object. I just obviously dropped it in the wrong place, and we'll take that and we'll drop it into my rows. I now see 2009 as one area. I see 2010 as another area. And now I can make direct comparisons between respective months. I think it might be that I go back in, create another visualization. It might be this time that I'm interested in my categories of products. I might want to look at my profitability. Well, I can see all my categories. I can see the margin for those. It might be that I want to sort them in ascending order, or maybe sort them in descending order, perhaps. It might be that I want to apply a top. I might say, just give me my top 10 product areas. And I might simply change the way that's displayed, again going for a different graphical format, and I might bring in something called a tag cloud, naming and shaming, as it were. So it might be it's given me a better impression of what I'm actually going to talk about in my meeting tomorrow. If I wanted to, I could go to that particular story and I could copy it to a clipboard. I'll just copy it as a small image. I've already got a PowerPoint sitting down. If I were to go to another slide within that PowerPoint, I could paste that object in, just reposition it. I'm now building my PowerPoint ready for my meeting tomorrow morning. Alternatively, instead of using PowerPoint, we could actually, moving from preparation stage through my visualization, I could go to my composure stage. Composure wants to build a PowerPoint. In effect, I've got page number down at the bottom here. I'm looking at page 1, which is my tabular representation. If I go through to page 2, I've already got a page in here. I'll just simply remove this page. Yes, I don't want that one. So I've got page 1, which is my tabular representation. If I add in another page, I'll just bring in a blank page. I could bring my next story in there. I might add in a third page, another blank page, and I might bring in my categories of products. With my categories of products, I might also bring in a text object, I might bring in a picture, or I might bring in something called an input control. An input control brings interactivity into my story. It might be that I want to look at individual years. So I'll just drag my years in and it offers me a tick box. So I might just resize that particular object. Did I want to look at 2009 or did I want to look at 2010? And what's the shift? I'm looking at majority of sales from t-shirts in 2010, majority of sales in 2009 is actually jewellery. So I've got a significant switch in my top products, as it were. So now I could move from one storyboard to another storyboard, building up, shall we say, a PowerPoint presentation. The last feature to show you is sharing. So once I've composed my story, I would look to share it. I might look to share it to SAP Business Objects. So this story would actually sit alongside my reports in a managed environment and would then be available for other people to be able to view my story. Alternatively, I could actually push it up into the cloud environment for other people to share through the cloud. Or I could actually push it back into one of the reporting tools within Business Objects to be shared. So that's Lumira, designed for individuals who simply want to visualize the numbers to tell the story. Quite often you don't know what the problem is until you see the picture, until you see the numbers being visualized. Thank you for watching.